Now, this verse has four components, if you will see, and we'll go to them one by one. One, first slide, we are commanded, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. And I think in our present age, it refers to the I, me, my mentality. I have to be satisfied first before everyone else. The second component would be, we are to surrender to God. That's where we read, but let God transform you. Try it if you have not yet tried surrendering things to God. It will work wonders in your life. The third component would be changing the way you think. So there is a process involved in transforming yourself. And we know that it takes 21 days for you to form a new habit. And the fourth component is there's a guaranteed result. Then you will learn to know God's will for you. And we know that when God promises something, He fulfills it. So it's for your own good. Okay, what we will share with you tonight are not the ABCs of conflict resolution, nor the the practical steps to resolving conflict. But rather, we will base it on what God says as based on this verse that we just read. And so with that, we will be presenting to you three paradigms tonight. But before we do that, we'd like to introduce ourselves. As Pastor Joey mentioned, I am Mon, and this is my wife, Malu Guevara. We are both veterinarians by education, and we are in business by profession. She is a full-time housewife, but she is also my COO, CFO, and my business partner, all rolled into one. And we only have 6 children, and we are servants of God by His grace alone. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
So you are here tonight because you are getting married, or you plan to get married, or you're thinking about getting married, right? Does anybody here not qualify under those 3 conditions? Okay. Married? Okay. So we include that, married. So there's a verse for married or to be married people, which is Genesis 2:24. Okay, can we read together? For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Have you come across this verse before? Okay, so familiar. And the last part is where we will focus on, becoming one flesh. What does it mean? Or maybe this has already been talked about. Let's just go through it quickly. Becoming one flesh is like weaving the two of you together. But so when we say weaving, one direction goes this way and the other direction goes that way. But so becomes intertwined. You don't go in the same direction because you will not be intertwined. Which is why the man and the woman go in different directions. Tama? So sometimes a man will not think the same way as a woman does. Who among you always think the same way? Okay. So that's the reason why it's weaving. You understand? Then the next one, it's intimacy. Becoming one flesh means intimacy, not only physically, but in all aspects. Okay? There will be no secrets between the two of you as you know each other more. Maybe at this point in your relationship, you are not supposed to be that intimate, right? Okay, you have signed the covenant, right? Okay. So, becoming one flesh is something that will happen once you're married. So you have to love the other person as he or she is. And becoming one flesh is a lifetime process. Meaning, it doesn't happen on the day that you get married that you become one flesh. Oh, well, yeah, but there will be the days that follow, that you become one flesh. So you will be like 5 years down the road, you get to know your spouse more than when you got married, right? So look to this time of getting to know each other. So in your time of getting to know each other, are there things that you have learned about each other that you do not like? Yes? Okay. So let's go to this discussion part. What have you seen in the other person that is not to your liking? How have you handled it with yourself and with the other person? If you have talked with the other person about it, what action points came out of your talk, if any?
Okay, time's up. I know you like to discuss this, but you have your lifetime to discuss things over. So, can we call on Merwin? And Wayne, can you come up front?
Okay, but for us is yung what I don't like about her is sometimes na is in-expect ko some things dapat alam niya na. Parang for me it's parang ganun yung mindset ko. Oh, this is very
Basic.
GI or that's common information you should know. Parang expect ko parang ganun. So that's one thing. So
So ako naman, sometimes yung mga stuff that I do not know na he expects to know. So for example, sabihin ko, ay hindi ko alam, he will give me a look na, ay hindi mo alam yan, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. Then ako naman, I would feel that I'm so stupid. Sasabihin ko, sorry
hindi na galing sa akin yun
Hindi, ako lang. And sometimes, in fairness, parang stupidity, parang medyo, I feel na parang nasuslow ako. Pero I expect him na parang, it's okay, hindi mo ba alam yan? Ganito, ganito. But ang nangyayari instead, hindi mo alam, dapat yan, ganito, ganito. Parang medyo, so he looks frustrated, he looks irritable. So dun medyo, in a way, may conflict na I feel parang solo, di ba? Sasabihin ko, di ba dapat yung guy yung nag-encourage siya, nag-motivate. Sorry parang yan ako siya. Sinagot ko lang yung question. So,
Ako pagka basta meron kaming something na hindi kami agree, usually quiet lang ako, as in ayoko magsalita at all kasi ayoko mag-away kami. So yun, ang problem namin, di niya nalalaman ever na naiinis ako until dumating yung time na punong-puno na ako, dire-diretso na yun. Bahala na siya kung maintindihan niya lahat.
Sa akin naman, yung historical naman sa kanya. Kasi yung parang, yun nga, parang may something kami na pag-usapan, tapos hindi naman niya sinasabi. So I would assume na as a guy, okay na siya. So move on na ako. Tapos after ilang months, parang babalik siya sa topic na yun. Parang isip ko naman, parang na-close na siya before. So bakit babalik na naman? Parang yun yung something
Pero
na yun.
actually, hindi siya na-close. Hindi siya napag-usapan.
Walang defense na party. Sabi share lang, walang defense.
Okay, let's give these two couples, Wayne and Merwin, a big hand. Thank you for sharing your experiences. You've just shared something that you will find in this topic. Ako nga, personally, I find myself in Merwin's foot. I'm like him. Anyway, as you've heard, people have different ways to cope when things don't go their way, or when things don't turn out the way they expect it to be, or when people close to them fall short of their expectations. How we react to these events dictate our behavior in life. So we'd like to term this what you do as responses to conflict. There. And what are these responses to conflict that we do? Oh, here are what they did. One, some withdraw. Sino yun? Si Shar ba yun? O si ano? Okay. She withdraws and just keeps quiet. These people keep unusually quiet. They simmer inside. It's like a pressure cooker building up. and then quite some time later, bigla lang puputok. Di ba? Bigla ka na lang nagtanong, a month later, hindi pa pala tapos yun, nagulat na lang siya. That's one way of responding to situations. Some want to discuss and find the root of the problem. They want to find out the reasons why they are having conflict and then get the answers. Now, some people get into heated discussions and then they call time out. Teka muna. Pahinga muna tayo because we're already arguing. And when they cool down, they come together again and then they say to one another, can we talk about this like mature adults? Let's discuss and not get angry at each other. That's one way of approaching things. A third way of approaching these issues or situations are people get impatient, they get upset, and then they argue. Some shout as they argue. Who among you shout when you argue? Okay, so we see some. I am like that. That's why I really relate to Merwin. When I don't get the things my way, or when things don't come out as I expect it to be, I get easily upset. And most of the time, I raise my voice. No, sorry. Sorry na naman. And when people fall short of what I expect, it really takes me off. But I am a work in progress. I know I'm slowly changing, right? So, and the fourth response that we do, I know that you see this, is when other people become physically violent. They slam things on the table, they throw things at you, they punch or they slap people. Now, can you identify to four of these behaviors? I think you've seen one of them, at least two. Maybe some of you have seen three in yourself. So, all this would bring us to our first paradigm, and that is, your issues are not really the matter. Don't agree? Yes, your issues are not really the matter. But I know that you think that your issues matter a lot. They're very important. You always look at the other person's issues are minor, they're not important. We complain, we rant, and find the mistakes in other people. We see their issues as less important than ours. But regardless of whether we are right or we are wrong, are you aware that these issues might be God's way of teaching you by trials and situations in life? I know you have experienced a lot of this, and God allows this to happen in our life. There's a reason. And I remind you that we should expect many of these failed expectations, just like Sherwin has, and disappointments in life. See them as a lesson instead from God. Okay? So, let's read our second verse for the evening. James chapter 1, verse 2. Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, for the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. So, you just read there that trials and issues and problems and concerns come in our life because it comes from God. Who among you have these trials and concerns and problems? Who? Who have no concerns or trials or problems? Wala. But do you like trials? Okay. Some said, no. I don't like trials myself. I don't know about you. This verse does not identify the trials that we will undergo, when they will happen, or the gravity of the trial that we'll undergo. It's just that we will have trials. We don't know what they are. They could be health problems. They could be money concerns. They could be work-related issues in life. It could be relationship hang-ups. You fight with your not spouse, but your partner from time to time. We can assume that it can be minor, like, coming in late today. Kanina pa nag-iintay si girl, dumating si boy kasi galing sa office. Can be annoying, And there can be some annoying habits of your girlfriend or boyfriend that really ticks you off. But I hope you haven't experienced the heartbreaking heartbreaking pain of betrayal by your partner, or else you won't be here anymore. Or it can be issues with ourselves, our family, with our friends, with our workmates, especially with our partner, who most often than not turn out to be our punching bag. Because we're so frustrated, we're so angry, we turn on them and, ibinubuhos natin ang ating samahan ng loob at galit sa kanila. And they're not even aware what's wrong with us. So, your issues do not matter. Look at it as lessons from God. It's to train you from this verse. How else do we look at our issues in life? How we react to these issues also matters. There's 2 points already. Let's read in Ephesians 4:28 what God says. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. So there, it matters how you react to this situation. It says there, in your anger, do not sin. That's how you should react to your situation in life. It doesn't talk of what makes you angry. It doesn't talk when you get angry or what the gravity of your anger. But the fact that there will be many things that will make you angry in life. It's just important to note that you are not to sin when you get angry, when you get upset in life. And how do you do that? You lash out at your partner or the other person. You swear. How many of you heard swearing people? Or you think evil. I hope you finish the statement. Or you let the sun go down on your anger. You're going to bed, the day is over, and you're still seething inside. You can't forget what happened this morning. Now, that's going to affect you a lot. And do not dwell in that anger, because God says, do not give the devil a foothold. When you go to sleep and you're still harboring that hard feeling, you are already giving the devil a foothold in your life. So, there it is, folks. 2 points in life. Our issues aren't the primary focus in our life. Treat them as lessons from God to test your faith so that you will be mature, complete, and lacking in nothing. And second, you are not to sin when you get angry. It might be unsettling for you to hear these things because it's not normal for us. For me, when I heard it, what? I should not get angry that much, and I should not sin when I get angry. Dapat tapusin ko na kaagad yung anger ko before the sun sets. That is totally new to me. Because in our life, when we got married, we used to fight for days on end. 2, 3 days, hindi kami magpapansinan. She sleeps in the couch, I sleep in the bedroom. The children know about it. That's how we fight. We don't talk to one another, and I'm broiling inside. And she's also broiling inside, and we're not communicating. Did it help us? No. Took us years to realize that it's not helping our relationship at all. That's why we're standing in front of you to tell you not to do the things that we have been doing wrong. That's why we're sharing this to you. So if it's unsettling for you to hear this paradigm, just accept it from wisdom who has white hair already, who has been through years of wars and battles with his wife, and realized late in life that it's the wrong way to lead a married life. We're sharing this to you for your good. Makinig na lang sana kayo. So, after all the time that I learned, God is still at work in me. I'm still an angry person. I'm still a proud person. But I know I'm a work in progress. Kaya nga sabi ko na, but I'm a work in progress, di ba? It takes time, and so will you.
So Mon said the issue isn't really the issue. So if it isn't, what is? Is that the question in your minds right now? So which conflict behavior do you think would please God from the four? So if you have handled conflicts not in God's way and insisted on your way, then we can discuss now the second paradigm. The issue is not the issue because the heart is really the issue. Okay? What do we mean by the heart? Let's read in James 4:1. Let's read together. What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? So what part is that within us? That's our heart. Okay? So the desires of our heart is what causes it. Now, the reason we have fights or conflict, and we can see your desires mean our self-centeredness. It continues. Let's read again. You want something but don't get it. You kill and covet, but you cannot have what you want. You quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. So let's see the progression. When we have our desires and we do not get it, next step, we kill and covet. We may not literally kill, but we kill what the other person wants. Whatever dreams or desires he has, it has to be mine and not yours. Or we covet. The other person will be glad, will be happy when he will get what he wants. I don't want him to be happy. I want that happiness for myself. So that's coveting, right? And because we still do not get what we want, we now quarrel and fight. Okay, you are not listening to me? Away na kita. Di ba? So that's, you see the progression? And then, it says there, the reason that you do not have is because you do not ask God. Are we always asking God about the things that we want to happen? Always? Can you raise your hand who always asks God? But we forget. Wow, bait ni Wayne, no? We forget to ask God. We just go on. Diba? If we are honest. Naisip natin to, and then we go, right? And so, we forget to ask God, and that's why God does not give it to us. Or, we don't ask God because we know deep inside our hearts, God will not say yes. Right? So, I will not ask because I don't want to hear God's no. Okay? And then, like what some do, they ask, but they do not receive. I've been praying about this, and yet God does not say yes, because we ask with wrong motives. What are the wrong motives? It's based on fulfilling our pleasures. What does this mean? Is pleasure bad? Don't I have a right to be happy? Is that what this is saying? Okay. Let's remember, everything is planned by God. So, when we want something that is not according to His plan, will He be happy when we do what we want that is not according to His plan? Will He? No, right? So, the pleasure there is because God knows it's not really good for us. It's not that He doesn't want us to be happy. It's just that He has something better. Now, think about that for a while. What pleasures are we pursuing that we think are good for us, but in reality are not? And it causes us to fight with each other. Okay? Now, if you will be honest with yourself, the heart. Okay, let's read Jeremiah 17:9. What does it say? The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? So, again, it points back to the heart. Our heart, and not our mind, and not our mouth, and not what we think or say, that is deceitful, meaning lying or pretending, okay? Matthew 12:34 says, out of the overflow of your mouth, that's a typo, of your heart, the mouth speaks. Okay? So, what we say isn't because of what we thought of, but it's because of our heart. So, if we will be honest, let's look at our heart and see what needs to be corrected there. Are you willing? It says in Psalm 139, verse 23, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Doesn't God know what's in our heart? He does. So this verse is actually us admitting to ourselves, there's something wrong, and I want it to be corrected by you, Lord. So people will be willing to look into their hearts if they are ready. Why don't we want to look at our hearts? Because we are afraid of what we will find. We might not like what we will find. We think God will not like us. But God knows already. We are the ones who don't like to admit what we are. Okay, so this verse puts us in a very humble position. And because God knows, doesn't want us to stay that way, we can pray this prayer in Psalm 51, verse 10. Create in me a pure heart, O God. Renew a steadfast spirit within me. Isn't that a nice prayer? So that our hearts will be changed. Because that's the issue of conflicts. The conflicts we experience are a reflection of the condition of our hearts. And it's also a reflection of our relationship with God. The more we complain about the other person, the farther we are really from God's heart. So, what are we saying in these two paradigms? Let's not focus on our issues. Because what we focus on will become magnified. The mere example of being late. If you will focus on that fact that the partner is late, then you will be fighting about it. Is being late a big thing? Not really, right? Tomorrow, that's nothing already. So instead, let's look into our hearts as each of us will stand before God and give an accounting of our lives.
So, as a follow-up to Malu's discussion of the heart issues that we have, of the 4 conflict behaviors that I enumerated a while ago, can you see the heart condition of each one? Let's go through them one by one. so that you can be guided. Okay, the best conflict behavior that you can display is discussing. There. You discuss the problem to find the solutions. How do you do that? Let's read a verse in the Bible that will help you guide yourself through this. Hebrews 12:14. Make every effort to live in peace with all men and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. This is what you will use to guide yourself in discussing things. Make every effort to live in peace. We can live in peace with other men when we forgive them of their transgressions against us. And how do you forgive them? Through complete forgiveness happens only when we understand the issues behind what's happening to us. And we can only understand the issues that are happening when we think that the issue that we have is not that important. So what do? We look at where she is coming from, he or she, depending on the issue. No? So when you see where they are coming from, your issues become minimized and you try to understand them. And that liberates your mind so that you will understand them and that you will be open to discussing issues with a clear mind. You're not clouded with, I am hurt, my issues are important, why are you late? You know, those things do not matter anymore because you are trying to live in peace. You're trying to look at her as your partner in life who needs your understanding. Why were you late? Okay. Traffic was heavy, the driver was slow, they were picking up passengers all the time, or the jeeps were just blocking the way and I cannot get through. So, you see the chain reaction of what happens when you think your problems are not the major issue in life. It opens a highway for rational discussion. But when you think that your issues are important above hers, or she thinks her issues are important above me, it creates a roadblock. It stops the traffic. And when there's a traffic, there's no flow of information. So you should look at your heart first so that you can discuss freely. You don't go attacking one another. Kasi kanina ka pa dapat umalis ng opisina, ngayon ka lang dumating. And what's the bonus here? God considers it holy when you try to discuss and resolve issues. O, di ba? That's good bonus. So what are the wrong responses? That's the right response to any issue in life. You try to discuss and find solutions. What are the wrong responses? Here are they. Keeping quiet for extended periods of time, just like what I did. We've been doing it for what? 15 years of our life. We wasted 15 years of our life. You may get angry, you may not speak for a while, but this should not drag on for days on end. We read in Ephesians 4:28, please read with me. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. We read that a while ago, just a reminder that you should not let it last for the whole day. After arguing an issue in the morning and you haven't resolved an issue, let it go. Don't carry it into your bedroom and into the next day. Do not let the devil gain a foothold in your life. Because when the devil sees that you're still harboring pain and anger from the last days, he will use that. He is very intelligent. He's very good at that. He will use that against you and your partner. And you will not notice it. That's what we realized. We did not know that our fights were eating into our marriage and it was driving us apart. And that's why after 5 years into the marriage, we wanted to end in divorce. We attended a couples retreat in 2000, and that's where we realized that, oh yeah, we should not be doing this. And from then on, that's where we slowly reworked our marriage. We're still work in progress. We still fight. No one's perfect, but we do not see divorce as an end in our marriage. We'd rather enjoy our marriage and enjoy one another despite our differences. So, what else? Keeping quiet may also mean I do not know what to say or what to do. Sino kanina yung nagsabi kanina, nag-share kanina, I just keep quiet because I do not know what to say, what to do. That's true. It happens in life. If this is the case in you, like you really don't know what to do because despite of what happened, you ask for God's wisdom. And you can find that in James chapter 1 verse 5. Can you read with me? If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask from God who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to him. Ginagawa ko rin yan. I keep quiet because I might say something that will make her angrier the more. And it will just stoke up our argument and it will just prolong our argument. That's why I keep quiet. I didn't know that it makes her angrier all the more because I was keeping quiet. She wanted to settle the issue. She wanted to understand why we were fighting. The reason. And I won't speak. I'll just keep quiet. And that drives her crazy. I'm sorry. And also, there's another way when you keep quiet. There's a third one. It's not my fault. It's her fault. Let her say sorry first. Do we need to elaborate on that? Not anymore, no? It's just pure, unadulterated pride. I'm right, she's wrong, you say sorry first. End of story for me. But for her, doesn't end. It just prolongs and postpones the inevitable. Okay, another wrong way to respond in any situation is arguing. And when you argue, please remember this verse that we will read together. Philippians 2, chapter 2, verses 14 to 15. Please read with me. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a crooked and depraved generation, in which you will shine like stars in the universe. So there, the Bible instructs us not to argue, although it is very tempting to argue. Diba? Who likes to argue? Like me. I like to argue. I don't want to accept defeat. I'm a proud person. I have to win this argument at all costs. I see a lot of nodding heads. Yeah, it's true. It's normal. It's expected especially from hard-headed men like me. But Philippians says, this is not how God expects His children to behave. We cannot be blameless and pure, shining examples to other people if we constantly argue with our partner. Okay, how many of you have seen couples who argue in public? Okay, marami. I think you've seen people argue in public. How do you feel? Do you feel good or do you feel bad? You feel bad, and yet you're just watching. Just imagine the two of them arguing. I don't think they feel good anyway themselves in the first place. That's what we felt. So we're just relating things to you. And then there's another way of responding to wrongly to issues, and that's physical violence. We all know that physical violence is a no-no. It should not be resorted to. It's definitely very wrong. But surprisingly, people still do it. When things don't turn out the way they want things to turn out, what they do? They throw things. Kung anong mahawakan, ibabato. Buti na lang hindi sa tao tatamaan. Or they, you know the word dabog-dabog. You understand Tagalog, no? No, American era. You know, when you make dabog-dabog, that's still physical violence in some ways. So the bottom line of all these behaviors is that you should see the condition of your heart. And before we go that, let's read the last verse, 431, that pertains to Ephesians. I forgot. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. So it's not only physical violence, but also words. Slander is considered already physical violence. So whenever you get angry and tending to, get physical, you remember Ephesians 4:31, so that it will stop you in your tracks. So moving on, these are just different behaviors. One is good, the rest are bad. And all of it would, the bottom line or the common ingredient is what is contained in your heart. Do you have a forgiving heart, or do you have a heart that is proud and won't back off? How is it easy for you to forgive your partner? Remember, we are focusing on the two of you, and your partner is an important part of your life now. Are you willing to forgive your partner to be, who's going to be your wife, who's going to live your life together with you for the rest of eternity? Do you want a happy married life that is full of bliss, or do you want 40 years of argument and ill feelings? It's in your decision. It's always your decision, remember. So your decision will dictate your behavior, remember that. So if you forgive easily, you'll be willing to discuss and forgive. But if you're proud, your heart rules over your head, then you might find it very miserable, just like what we did. Okay, at this point in time, we'd like to let you discuss again between the two of you. And this is what you're going to discuss. Which of these verses that we just read are you struggling with? Keeping quiet for long times, for the wrong reasons, arguing, physical violence. What were the results of those behaviors in your life? The two of you. And finally, what is God's way to help you? Our time's up. I know you like discussing issues with your partner, but do that after you get married. Okay, so two couples were volunteered. They won the lottery. Can we call on couples of Jason and Paul? Can you come forward, please?
Sa aming dalawa, our struggles are, for me, it's more on not really what to say, but how to say it. So there are times that I have an idea on what to say when we have conflicts, but I just keep quiet because I'm trying to find ways, the best way, to say it to her without really offending her or something like that.
And for me naman is struggling ko yung arguing. Kasi ako gusto ko kagad yung malaman kung ano yung problem and para mapag-usapan din namin. It's just that pati yun, medyo napagtatalunan din namin kasi nga siya yung keep quiet talaga. And ang tagal bago ko malaman kung ano yung anong problema niya or ano yung saan nagagaling yung kung ano man yung napagtatalunan namin. So, ang nangyayari is, yun, medyo tumatagal. Yun, yung natutunan ko na lang na maghintay sa kanya. Kung kailan siya magsasalita. Kasi yun yung napansin ko nga. So, yun, now, hinihintay ko na lang siya kung kailan siya magsasalita.
Yeah. Sa amin, opposite naman. So ako naman yung nagtatanong, ano ba yung problem?
Okay.
She's the one who's getting quiet. So I guess it's the God's way of handling really is just to pray. Kasi there are times na baka hindi rin ready yung other person mag-share. So you just have to pray, wait for God's timing, and at the proper time, we'll have a moment of time na yung maayos na yung lahat. That's the time I open up, oh, what's the problem the other time? then we can start talking more adults na ito pala yung nangyari, ito pala yung nagawa ko. So we'd be able to settle it. Wanna add?
Yan si Ann.
So, yun nga. Before kasi I love to argue. So this time around, I thought maybe the good thing to do is to just keep quiet. But then I noticed na same lang yung impact niya. So it's better that we discuss when both of us are ready.
Let's give these two couples a hand. Thank you for sharing. It's wonderful to hear that they have learned early in life how to handle their conflicts. Nakakainggit naman kayo. Should have been like you a long, long time ago.
Okay, so let's go to the third and final paradigm. All conflicts can be resolved. Okay? So, like what Mon said earlier, don't entertain separation when you get married because all conflicts can be resolved. What's the worst conflict? What do you think? Go. When an engaged couple went to us for counseling, they said that their fear is after they get married, they would have a very big conflict that will cause them to separate or break their marriage. That's a valid thing, right? So, like Mon and I, we were also on the bent of separation. He mentioned that until we attended a couples retreat in 2000. So that was when we gave our marriage a last shot. We already had 6 kids, but we think that our marriage was not working. We were Christians, we were serving, but we were still fighting. So after that couples retreat, after hearing Pastor Joey said that there is no exit door, we decided to stay together. So with our commitment to stay together, there were still the fights. We would still argue. That's why Pastor Joey assigned us this topic, because we are experts at having conflicts, okay? And by God's grace, we are learning how to resolve them. What were we fighting about? We fought about many things. We will fight about me not cooking breakfast, because that was not the lifestyle of where I came from. Breakfast was not a big deal. But in his case, it was a big deal. So, especially when we had our babies. So how could I cook breakfast when I was taking care of the baby? I had a valid excuse. Okay? So that was something that he would always take against me. You don't cook me breakfast. I'm sorry, but I'm busy. Okay? And then another thing was our differences. He likes cold temperature, like this one. This is comfortable for him. But this I already find cold. So how do we sleep at night? So I would tell him, can you please turn off? During the times that we have aircon, can we not turn on the aircon? Can you please turn it off? It's hot. So let's just turn on the electric fan. And then the electric fan is revolving like that. I said, can you please just steady it on yourself? And then he would say, I like the air moving in the room. Okay? So those are little things. Okay? We fought about bigger things also. Anyway, just to tell you the extent of our conflicts, so that you would know that we really had a lot. Okay? Those are just the funny ones. So we were in that very hopeless situation. But like what we're saying, what's the worst conflict that we can have? It's having a conflict with God. Why is that? Because this conflict is a separation from God due to sin. And all of us are sinners. Is anybody here not a sinner? And this conflict has a spiritual death as a consequence. If we are in conflict with God, we have spiritual death. And this is worse because all other conflicts end. Like between the two of us, our conflicts have ended. We don't have conflict right now. But our separation from God is eternal. Isn't that very bad news? Nothing any one of us can do will bridge the gap or restore our relationship with God. Okay? Unlike conflict between the two of us, I can find ways to make peace with Him. But for us and God, there's nothing that we can do. Because none of us, no one is righteous. We read that in Romans 3:10. And even if we try to earn God's favor by doing good things, good deeds, our good deeds are filthy rags. They don't mean anything to God because they are done by a sinful person. We read that in Isaiah 64:6. So in short, here's the consequence. Let's read together. But cowards, unbelievers, the corrupt, murderers, the immoral, those who practice witchcraft, idol worshippers, and all liars, their fate is in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. Do we qualify in this list of sinners? If you tell me you haven't lied in your life, you are lying right now, right? So we can qualify as liars. And liars, you've heard that saying, liars go to hell. This is the basis. The second death is not just the physical death, but the spiritual death. So, as liars, we are bound to hell. So we are in a hopeless situation. We are eternally condemned. So if you think being in a fight with your partner is getting to be hopeless, this is a lot worse. So, is all really lost for us? Okay. Of course not. We know that already because God made a way. It's not what we did, but what God did. He sent His Son Jesus to bear the death consequence of our sin. Because we read earlier, the consequence of sin is death. And why death? Because with death, there is shedding of blood. Because we can read, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. So forgiveness of our sins cannot be bought by any way except with the shedding of blood. And it's not just any blood. It has to be perfect. We can read here also in Titus 3:5. Let's read together. He saved us not because of righteous things we have done, but because of His mercy. He washed away our sins, giving us a new birth and new life through the Holy Spirit. Okay, so it's not because of who we are, what we have done, but it's because God is good and merciful. So let's not take credit for our salvation. So by His death, He opened the way for our reconciliation with God. That's the conflict resolution with God. God promised that whosoever believes in His Son Jesus will have eternal life. Yes, John 3:16. And whoever receives Him is given the right to become God's child. And where does God's child go? To heaven, di ba? Okay, so when we are God's child, because we have received Jesus Christ, we have believed in Him, then we go to heaven. We are now reconciled. The worst conflict has been resolved. Okay? Isn't that good news? Ba't parang hindi kayo natutuwa? Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's read Romans 8:32. He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? He has already given us our salvation. What is giving the salvation of our relationship compared to that? That's a lot easier, right? So, what's your answer there? What is our issue compared to our sin issue with God? Nothing. If God solved the worst conflict in the whole universe, He can solve whatever conflict we have and will have with each other. Okay, so there is no such thing as irreconcilable differences. Excuse me. Because that's usually the reason that they give to separate. Irreconcilable differences. Don't believe that, okay? We only need to follow what He commands us to do, and resolutions will come sooner or later, which is what we learned earlier in James 1, the trials to perfect our faith. Okay? So one thing, God has the power to resolve all conflicts, yes? But will He resolve all our conflicts? No. Why not? We don't know. He has His reasons. God is sovereign. So He will allow what He knows is best for us, which is why the issues that we have should not be issues. So, between us, my not cooking breakfast is no longer an issue because He's the one who cooks breakfast. Okay, so the cold and hot differences between the two of us, we have now blankets that will keep me warm as He is comfortable with His cold. Okay, so the issues are not the issue. We have learned to accept our unresolved differences.
We agree to disagree with one another. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Your issues are not important. You have to look at your heart because it matters a lot what's contained in it, and God has already resolved the greatest issue in our life, and that is our destiny. Where we go when we die is all important in our life. Where do you want to go? So as we end, we'd like to share with you 6 lessons that we've learned in life to resolving conflict based on what we have learned so far and these 3 paradigms that we have listened to. We believe that there are no quick fixes in marriages. Some may find it easy to resolve conflict. Some may find it very hard. Like us, we found it hard to resolve conflicts. And there's no smooth formula. There's no sure formula for a smooth relationship. Pray that God will allow you to have understanding and loving hearts so that you'll have a smooth relationship. But this can serve as a guide. Okay, 1, identify the issue but do not focus on it. Like what we said kanina, when you came late. So what? When you came late now, tomorrow, it's another day. Fighting about being late now doesn't matter anymore. Or maybe your boyfriend is so insensitive. Pray to God that he will learn to be more sensitive to your needs. And remember that these issues, these concerns, these problems are just God's tools to mold our character, which is more important. That's why old men like me are given by God plenty of wisdom so that we can share with you young guys. You're all young. You look very young. Ako, puti na buhok eh. Okay, next step. Identify how you are responding to these issues. How do you react? Look very well. Are you reacting due to hurt pride? Most often than not, with men, yes. Are you out to show your mate that you're right and she's wrong? Most often than not, yes. So always remember to look at your heart's motive. Remember that no one is perfect. You've heard this. It's a cliche. Whenever you point a finger, how many fingers are pointing back at you? 3. Hindi, ganun eh. You cannot point that way. So, no one is perfect, even yourself. So, remember that you shouldn't stop blaming your mate. You'll be living with her forever anyway. And the third step is choose to learn God's lessons. Just like what we said a while ago, these are lessons in life that God is teaching us. Yes, it may seem hard, but remember, with God, nothing is impossible. I was an impossible person, but I am here now. So, if God can do this to me, then I believe that there's nothing impossible in life anymore. Remember, He's just testing your faith. Diba? The testing of your faith will produce perseverance so that you'll grow in maturity, complete, lacking in nothing. You'd be more Christ-like as you grow in age. Fourth step, choose. Remember, look at these words, choose. It's an option. You can choose not to, but choose to discuss and find solutions. First, pray to God that He will enlighten you and give you wisdom on what to do. Solve the problem by setting aside your pride and looking at your spouse or your partner as needing the love and understanding that you can offer. Because you selected her. She was not forced on you. Remember, it's your choice all the time. So, discuss with love and understanding, and just like we did, agree to disagree. She likes to be warm. I like to be, feeling a little bit cold. I like breakfast. She doesn't like cooking, so I cook myself. There is nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in her not cooking breakfast or me liking cool temperatures. It's to his own preference. Just learn to live with your spouse or your partner and accept your differences. Be more forgiving to one another. That's what we can tell you. Fifth, this is very important. Thank God for His gift of salvation. Please take note that every time you hear this, God made the first move in giving you your salvation. You did not ask Him, God save me. He did it 1,000 years ago without you even knowing it. And it's not only for you, it's for everyone. Isn't that a very wonderful display of affection and love that is unconditional? Whether you accept His salvation or not doesn't matter. It's there for you to take. All you have to do is accept it and receive. And that's how we are to behave with our partners. We have to give them unconditional love and understanding. Just like what God gave us ourselves. It's unconditional. There are no strings attached. I just watched a movie, Doctor Who. And what he said there struck me a lot the other night. It goes something like this. What you do does not matter to me. It's just to prove my trust in you no matter what you do. Because somebody betrayed him, just like how we betrayed God. But he told the other person, what you did was inconsequential. I still trust you, I still love you. And that's how God looks at us. We can betray Him, we can disobey God, and yet His love is still there. He's still giving us a chance all the time. So thank God for His gift of salvation. And last, thank God for your partner. You cannot be angry at someone that you're thanking God for. Di ba? That's an oxymoron. You will be married to her anyway, and you'll be spending the rest of your life together with her anyway. So, might as well thank God for your partner. Don't ever look at your partner as your opponent or foe. Look at her as your friend, as your best confidant, as your the best thing that ever happened to you. That's a song, I sing it to her. And that will be blessed by God whenever you are thankful for what He has given you. So that, ladies and gentlemen, are just, practical guides. You can adopt it, you can change it. But whatever happens, settle your differences immediately. So, let's close in prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, you are really amazing in your love and goodness. Thank you for your word that gives us wisdom and guidance all our life. Thank you for allowing us to come to know your heart in this very special way. And we thank you for solving the greatest conflict in our life through your Son, Jesus. We lift up to you these relationships, especially these guys who are contemplating to get married and they're really seriously getting married soon. Won't you please help us all to obey your word and be shining examples for others how you want us to handle conflicts and trials, and teach us also how to grow in maturity in our faith. Thanks for all the works that you are doing in our life and will continue to do so even after our marriage. We lift up to you everybody in this room. Thank you for everything. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. Good evening po sa inyong lahat.